and welcome to TechFunnel.com's interview series. My name is Danny White, and today we have the opportunity to talk to Shane Barker. Shane is a digital marketing consultant who specializes in influencer marketing, product launches, sales funnels, targeted traffic, and website conversions. He has consulted with Fortune 500 companies, influencers with digital products, and a number of A-list celebrities. Welcome, Shane. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited about the interview today.
Awesome. So you help companies and individuals build their digital reputation with effective marketing strategies, influencer marketing strategies. How did you get involved in digital marketing and consulting?
Yeah, it was one of those things. The way that I got into digital marketing was I had my own companies and I was broke. I didn't have a lot of money. So I thought I have to get in here and kind of do it myself. And this was at that time, there was a website called Get a Freelancer. Now it's freelancer.com.
Okay.
But back in the day, I was one of the first people on there that was hiring freelancers. I was one of those people that's like, hey, listen, I can try to learn everything. I mean, at that time, there wasn't tons of stuff. There was, you build a website, you put it up. We didn't even know what SEO was at that time, right? It was like you put some stuff up, you get a little bit of traffic. And even then, there wasn't great tools to find out where that was coming from. So what I did is I would go and hire people. I would educate myself. And once again, there wasn't as much content as there is today. Like there's, you can go Udemy, you can go all these different places and learn about how to do things. This side, there was a little bit of online stuff. There was a few people talking about it. And so I was trying to learn as much as possible. And then I would go and hire freelancers and then have them work on it and then kind of educate myself as we go. So that's how I kind of was building teams at the beginning of like people that, once again, that weren't crazy expensive, but that I could learn from. And then also I could partner with. And some of those people, maybe not 20 years ago, but I have a few people on my team that have been with me for almost 14, 15 years from when I originally, a while ago. Yeah, it's fun.
That's incredible. So on to influencer marketing. Influencer marketing is this like highly discussed topic, but not always a well-defined one. How can influencers help brands connect to their target audiences in more precise ways?
Yeah, I think it really comes down to the big thing that I'm pushing on this year is because I actually teach at UCLA. I teach a class on personal branding and how to be an influencer course.
Wow.
And the reason why is I'm putting the curriculum we put together for that. Really what I'm doing is I'm doing workshops as well with brands. And then I'm doing a course with influencers, which is a whole other thing. But for the brands, the issue is that they don't really know how to work with influencers. They don't know what to negotiate. They don't know which ones to go after. They don't know which ones not to go after. They don't understand like how to put the brief together, what kind of KPIs you need to have in place. There's a lot of things that brands miss out on. And the same thing with influencers. You have to realize that most influencers aren't marketers. Right. So they built this community and they're like, this is awesome. I've got 5,000 followers and then 10,000, everything's great. And then they're like, well, hey, how are you going to make money from it? You're like, I have no idea. I just know what kind of content that people like for the most part, right? I know what makes my audience react to stuff. So, brands need to go and look at that and really make sure that they're having a deeper relationship with the influencer and have a better line of communication. It's no longer hey, I'm going to send you a picture. I'm going to send you some cash or send you a product. You take a picture or two and then you post it. There really needs to be a deeper relationship there. And there really needs to be a better understanding of what the goals are. Right. And that's the biggest thing that I see is that, they get together with a brand, get together with an influencer, and the influencer is like, I'm not sure what to do. And the brand's like, I'm not sure what to do. Well, let's just post a picture and see what happens. And I'll pay you some money. And let's just see if things work out. Okay. Like that's not a strategy. Like that's a guessing game. That's a strategy of praying, which doesn't work that well when it comes to marketing. Right. Because I've tried it. My beginning years, I prayed a lot and I didn't do that much better because of that. Right. So the idea is you want to put a strategy together like, hey, this is the kind of content we're going to put together. And then after this, we're going to do a PPC campaign. And then we're going to use that as a testimonial for social proof. And then we're going to also do this. Like you have to figure out how you're going to take that content you're producing and leverage it, not only in influencer marketing, but, moving on to other platforms where you once can leverage it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what are some of the challenges that B2B brands might face in seeking to build those human-to-human connections when it comes to influencer marketing? Because like you said, a lot of brands and influencer marketers, they don't understand the strategy behind it. So what's some of the challenges they run into and how can they overcome that?
Yeah, I think when it comes to B2B marketing and when it comes to, reaching out to influencers, it really just comes down to having an idea of what kind of campaign you want to put together and really working, because each influencer is going to work a little differently. But if you have like at least a template or an idea of how you want things to be handled, like the certain hashtags you want to use. And this is the brief, and this is what we're looking for. And these are our KPIs. like if you have those things in place, when you're reaching out to an influencer, and let's say it's a B2B play, once again, you just want to educate them. Hey, this is kind of what we're thinking about doing, but what were you thinking, right? And this influencer can say, hey, listen, well, I was thinking of producing this type of content. And I think with what you're doing here would be interesting is we could do a YouTube play, because once we can put certain keywords in there, we can get number one in a search engine, and we can use it as a testimonial. We have more people that, we're going to create content as a how-to. And so that would be great on YouTube. Or, hey, no, we're going to do a blog post and try to get number one for a certain keyword. Or, hey, we want to go an Instagram play where it's hey, we want to use you as a testimonial. We want to use your face and your picture. And we want to continue to do some PPC ads and make you famous. And once again, it's the ambassador, the influencer behind our product. So there's a lot of different ways. That's the cool part about it is, I think it's the thing that's scary for people, and that's also awesome, is there's a lot of different ways to put campaigns together.
Absolutely.
So I think that for people get nervous about that, right? It's like, oh God, what's going to work? It's no different than anything else. Like influencer marketing is like PPC. Like PPC, the first campaign you do, probably not going to work. I mean, I hate to shatter everybody's thing of like, wait a second, I don't do just one campaign and make millions. And if you do, that's awesome. Then you've got a good equation there. But at the end of the day, it's you got to test things, right? So PPC, you got to test a few things, then you find a good working funnel. Influencer marketing is no different. Like just because I hire Danny as an influencer, the campaign doesn't go well, doesn't mean all of influencer marketing is bad. Right? If you hire a bad marketing company, that doesn't mean that you should never market again, because all marketing companies are bad. The idea of it is that you want to test and see who's moving the needle. So you put some money together, you hire influencers for different things, an unboxing, for a YouTube video, for whatever this is, put a frequency to it. What I mean by that is have them do multiple things. So not just post one picture and then pray that goes well, right? The idea is put a strategy together. This is our budget. This is what we have. What would you do for that amount? And then you guys work out some details, and then you start putting that content together, and then you figure out what you're going to do with that content and where you're going to place it.
Awesome. So what are some of the best ways to build those long-term relationships with influencers? Is it different for B2C brands as opposed to B2B brands? And how do you develop that consistency over time?
Yeah, I mean, it is going to be a little bit of a different play, but really at the end of the day, it comes down to interaction. Right. So it comes down to it's, like you talk about AI and all this other stuff, and people are always worried that, it's going to take over the world and it's going to take over jobs. But you're never going to be able to take away from the human, the belly to belly, you and I having a conversation right now. Like there's probably not going to be anything that will ever take over this, you and I having interaction, right? Which is, at the end of this, we're probably going to be best friends forever, right? I'm pretty sure. I'll see you at Christmas. You'll be over at Thanksgiving. Like that's the kind of relationship we're going to have, right? I mean, this is going to be after an hour. I mean, why not? So that's what I look at with influencers. Is the idea of this is you want to have a relationship with them, right? Because you want to have it's not a one time post. Let me pay you. The idea is like, hey, let's develop some content together, and let's kind of figure this out. Like me as a brand, this is kind of what I have a brief, and this is kind of what I'm looking for. But you're the influencer. You understand your audience. What do you think would be good here? What do you think we should try? Hey, this is what I'm thinking, Shane. We should do this, and this. Awesome. Well, here's the thing too. And since we don't have a crazy budget, let me do this. I actually have a videographer that's going to come over there. I'll pay for it. And that way it'll cut down your costs as well. And then I know that they can do a great job with the strategy that we have in mind. Like there's just so many different ways to put it together. But what you don't want to do is send out a picture, send it out to 100 influencers, send them all $100 and just pray that everything goes well.
Right.
I go back to the prayer thing. Prayer is good on Sundays. That's awesome. Like do your thing. But during the week and when you have the other 6 days, you probably want to have a strategy or have a plan in place that you can actually implement.
Absolutely. So switching gears a little bit to social media. First of all, what excites you the most about the social media's progression over the past couple of years?
I think it's just been interesting just on how it's evolved, right? And that's why I love the digital space, right? And that's why I like influencer marketing, because there's always unique stuff and new things that you can do. And there's a lot of cool things that are happening in the space, like especially like the e-commerce space. Right. But the digital marketing is just, it's like seeing a little baby grow up, and you're like, oh, look at it. I remember when I was like, feeding a little bobble. Now look at it. It's all grown up and it's crazy. It's like the only issue I have with social media is that, and this is, I think a lot of the times people have these issues, is it's like drinking water out of a hose, like a crazy hose. It's like there's so much information now. And there's so many, in theory, platforms you should be on as a marketer or as a brand. And it becomes a little more difficult. Like it's exciting, but it's like, if somebody comes to me and goes, hey man, TikTok's going crazy. You on there? And I'm like, oh God, another platform that I've got to get on. It's like, oh, here we go. Yeah. And like, I've got to know this as a marketer because I want to understand what's going on there so I can tell my clients and educate the public. That's my big thing, which I enjoy doing. And so it's fun. It's really great. And I love it. But there's, like I said, you really have to kind of like, you have to focus, right? And then sometimes that can be difficult for me when there's, I'm like ADHD. I'm like, oh, hey, do this and hey, do that. We'll do video and do this. It's all fun, but there's just more and more stuff, So I think it's that evolution of it, I think is awesome. But it also can be a little scary because once again, where do you spend your time,
Definitely. It can definitely be overwhelming deciding which platform will actually be most effective for your brand or your product or your service. So talking about the right social media channel and picking the right social media channel, it really is overwhelming since so many algorithms and features, they're constantly changing and updating. What suggestions can you give to help marketers in making the right decisions about what social channels should they be on? Do they need to be on all of them or just one or two?
Yeah. I mean, this is what I'm going to recommend. It's a little bit kind of going around your question, and I'll come back to your question. I'll circle back around. The biggest thing that I think marketers need to do and brands need to do is you need to develop your website and make sure that all of your social media stuff is pointing to your website. The reason why I'm saying this is because you own your website. As long as you're paying the hosting, you pay the domain fees, you own that. You do not own Instagram. You don't own Facebook. You don't own TikTok. You don't own LinkedIn. Well, the reason I'm saying that is because I hear it from influencers a lot. It's like, oh, they're changing the algorithm. Oh, they're changing this. Oh, they're changing that. Guess what? Newsflash, this just in, they will constantly be changing the algorithm. Like that will continue to happen. So whether that favors you or whether you lose rankings, that is what it is. But the way you look at social is, and the way you should pick platforms is obviously you have to test them, right? You have to figure out which is in the needle. Like, hey, I spent a lot of time on LinkedIn for the last 3 months. I'm just not getting a lot of traction there. Okay, then maybe that's not it, right? Depends on your product and service as well. But what you just need to do is figure out what's moving that needle. Once again, spend some time there. And then, but you really want to have those platforms driving all of that traffic, everything that you have going on there to your website, to your money pages, right? Because that's something that you own. That's something you have control over. Now, I understand, Google has algorithms, and so your blog might not always be number one.
Right.
But the idea is that if you have an email list that you control, and you're in charge of that, you have a website that you're in control of, you can continue to drive that and drive your programs and all that stuff to your website. And so social media should be, if you're somebody that, the thing is you're an Instagram influencer, that's awesome. But you know what? You got to be really careful. Like, save your money, kids. Everybody listening, all the marketers out there, save your money. If you're making a ton of money right now, put that money away, because the algorithm can change. They could take your profile down. There's anything that can happen. I'm not trying to scare people, but anytime you put your egg in one basket, that's usually scary, right?
Absolutely.
So you're building, what we teach at UCLA is like, it's personal branding of like, multiple revenue streams, right? Don't just focus on one thing, because something can happen there. Things can change. You can lose your money overnight, but building these platforms out, all driving to your website, is going to be a good thing to do. And then once again, pulling in the emails and pulling in that information, because you always have control over that.
Absolutely. So what are a few things you see that might be coming up in social media marketing down the road? I know there's artificial intelligence. Are there any other elements or technologies that we should be looking at?
So the crazy one for me, which is like, it kind of blows my mind. Like every time I bring it up, I get goosebumps. Is it's CGI? It's computer generated influencers. They have them, and it's kind of crazy just because now and what it is, it looks like a person. Like when you first look at it, you're like, God, that girl looks a little weird. The guy's like, there's just something, your spider sense tingles a little bit. You're like, I just don't know. Like I'm looking at the profile, I'm like, well, maybe she just looks a little odd for some reason. Well, it's because she's a computer generated character, and you'll see them with real individuals shaking hands and doing this, and with dogs, and on a Ferris wheel, and you're just like, man, what is going on right now? And so I think the issue is like right now, influencer marketing is still in its infancy stages, right? I've been doing it for about 6 years, and we have, our big thing is education. Like my main push is like to meet with brands. We just did San Francisco with Amazon, and we had some really purple.com, some really big brands there. And we do these all day workshops where we'll go and I'll explain to them like how to do influencer marketing the right way. Because I think, even though Amazon's this huge company and obviously different departments, they really wanted that knowledge of like, how do we do this the right way? We're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, and there's some things that need to be tweaked, and I can help them tweak that. The reason why I'm telling you that is that we haven't even gotten a grasp on influencer marketing without CGI. And now you have this other variable of like this person that looks real, that's not real, that's fake, that's still hanging out with Jay-Z or hanging out with Beyonce or whatever, like, or is actually on a political rant about something, and it's a computer. it's generated. So it's like, to me, that's exciting. It's awesome. But I don't know if we need that yet, right? Where people are already trying to figure out this concept and now we're adding more stuff to it.
More stuff to it, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and it's exciting, but it's also like when you bring it up, I brought it with my students one time, they're like, what? When did this happen? This is your head up a little, right? When you think you grasp something, they throw computers in there. And now there's a company that has actually gotten funding to create more computer generated influencers. Because
wow.
Scary about that is, think about, not to get into politics at all, but think about if you had 10 or 20 or 30 profiles that had crazy influence, and then you're putting your political views there, good or bad, right? So, there's this situation where things could get really funny. You think about like Russia and what happened in the US, and I'm not saying that happened, not saying it didn't happen, but they were playing with puppet strings in theory, right? Of like, this is, we're putting ads out and people are seeing it. Now imagine if you're talking about like CGI, you have these profiles you have influence over, and you could push initiatives. You could, you can push things out there that maybe it, could be good or could be bad. And we could debate on what good and bad is, but it's just an interesting thing. It's like, I don't know. It's once again, I feel like it's that, one more thing in the mix where people are like, I thought I knew it. And now they brought in CGI. Now what do I do? But it's exciting. It's exciting to see where it'll be interesting to see how it turns out.
Wow, definitely. That's really exciting. So you worked with a lot of big brands, a lot of individuals, celebrities, Fortune 500 companies. How do you feel your consultations are different when you're seeking to develop these unique marketing plans for each individual?
Yeah, I think what I do is I play off obviously my experience. I've been in the digital space. In fact, I was doing the numbers, Danny. Don't tell anybody this except for everybody that's listening. I've been doing this almost 25 years. Like I said 20, I'm always in denial about my age. So I always try to act like, in fact, my wife one time was walking by during an interview, and this was years ago. And I said, I've been doing this for 10 years. And she goes, no, you haven't. You've been doing it for like almost 20. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, oh, shoot. Like I'm obviously not good with numbers. I'm way better at marketing.
Time flies.
Yeah, it really does. I guess when you're having fun, right? So it's the whole thing is like, it's just, the way I do my consultations is I actually record every single one of my consultations. Okay. And I have usually a format that we put in place. So it just depends on what they're looking for. So I'll say, okay, you're doing influencer marketing. So I have one for brands. It's a 3-month program that we put together. So what it is we have these 12 pillars. So each week we go over one of these pillars, but then I'll also have some homework assignment, or we can review an influencer campaign they have going, or we can show them how to go find influencers. But I have this framework that I put in place. And the goal of it, once again, is to educate brands. So if you're a brand that says, hey, we can't have you come in the office, great, we can do a 3-month plan, not a problem. Or we have the heavily intensive one where I go in and it's 8 hours and, we start off, we drink a little coffee and have a croissant. And the next, we're off running off to the races. And I'm educating everybody on how to do this thing the right way.
Awesome. Final question. You do work with startups. So what are some of the smartest things that startup companies can do when they're trying to develop their presence on social media and seeking to invest in their followers at the same time?
Yeah, I think this probably the smartest thing that startups can do is really, once again, spend the time to develop the communities. That's the hardest part. And, this is like always the question of the day is like, well, where do I spend my time? Right. Yeah. I'd love to develop my community, Shane, but there's, 50 platforms out there. And how do I do that? I think it really comes down to testing. Once again, I'm a big content marketer, right? Because I write for about 120 different websites like Inc. and Forbes and all the websites. For me, I do a lot of inbound marketing. So what we do is a lot of testing of the content, title ideas and different content, and see how well it produces or how well it does on Google, and then how well people react to it when it comes to social media and content. So, for me, it was, what are my goals? My goals are to drive content and traffic to my website. Then I want to be able to convert the right type of traffic. So I would much rather get 10,000 of the right people than 1 million of the wrong people. Right. So we want very specific traffic that we're going after. And so for me, I wanted to develop a blog. I wanted to develop an email list, and I wanted to develop followers that would continuously come back to my blog and read my content. And then social media were profiles that I created and push my content out there to be able to drive that traffic. So it's a vehicle for me. If Instagram goes down tomorrow, it sucks, but my business won't be down because I have pillars. I built it on these pillars that are all strong, right? So if we lose them all, then hey, that's one thing. But I have my email list, and I still have people that I can send emails to and still drive that traffic. So for me, it's I want to make sure I have a really strong foundation in the content writing, and once again, providing content that people want to read and consume.
Awesome. Shane, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. Where can people find out more about your work, your courses, and sign up for your newsletter?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can just go to shanebarker.com, and that's ShaneBarker.com. And I'll actually give you my personal email. It is Shane, it's SHANE at shanebarker.com. You guys can send me any emails. I can tell you about the courses that we do, the ones that I actually go out to the facility or wherever it's at and do an 8-hour course. So we have the 3-month course. And then also, if anybody's looking for content marketing or any SEO help, I'm always here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today, Shane. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Danny.
Awesome. Thank you guys for listening to this interview. For these and other interviews and topics, you can visit us at techfunnel.com. You can connect with us across social media and subscribe to our weekly newsletter. Thank you.